All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Loft. If you guys are new here, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you're not new, welcome back.
What's your advice to someone who is lost?
The opposite of addiction is connection, and I could never do this thing on my own.
I've been working since I was a kid, I just gotta keep my head.
That you're responsible for and that your name's attached to, do you feel like that gave you that responsibility to be better than you were?
That's when it all began. I don't need a rollie on my...
If you believe in yourself a little bit, you'd be surprised what can happen.
All right, today I have one of our volunteers of the Grace Project. He's been around before I was even a part of it. You're considered an OG, and I know you have like an amazing story, and you have a lot of people that love you, especially in the recovery community. And how long have you been volunteering with the Grace Project?
The full time.
Full time, right?
Yeah,
Since it
just
started?
right away. Yeah, right away.
So. You've been coming around. We've been able to build a relationship. Also, we have
pushing 4 years now.
So we have Lear here as well. He's another one of the original volunteers when I started volunteering. But your story is I've been hearing bits and pieces of it, and I know we've talked a little bit. But I wanted to have you on and be able to have you share your story. And I want to learn more about you as one of our most tenured volunteers, and just the relationship we've been able to build. You've been coming out to my DJ gigs and all that. Been a super great supporter. Marc Cohen, everybody. Welcome, Marc Cohen. What's up, brother? How are you?
Thank you.
It's your first pod?
Yeah. First ever. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
And I'm with the best. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me.
Nah, no worries.
And Lear's idea for both of you.
Well, you know what's funny? Lear is the reason why it happened. He mentioned to me in Kensington, you should have Marc on. I'm like, you know what? I think it was like 15 minutes later. I was like, you know what? And then that's when I asked you. I'm like, you know what? You should come on. I'm open to everything. And also, like I said, being one of our volunteers and being out there in Kensington and seeing everything. And I think like with this podcast started as mainly hope-based, kind of like Grace Project. And I started with having people tell their stories, having Megan on and people like that in the recovery community. And mostly, like I said, mostly just about hope, because I know where the things you've gone through and the things you've overcome to get yourself to this moment. I really want to dive into that and learn more about that. So for those who don't know, what are you recovering from?
Alcohol, pot, pills, cocaine, and crack cocaine. Okay. Heroin was not that big. I got sober 24. I have over 24 years.
That's amazing.
So the opiates were just starting, and I was saved from that period.
All right. So and you've had you mentioned a little bit about your father, and we can get into your father as well.
Yeah.
But I want to mention specifically about you right now. Is like, so how old were you when you started using, like getting into that?
About 14. 14
Really?
Started drinking and smoking pot.
And then how do you think that like affected your life? Like, how did that?
Right from the door, I was heading to a college scholarship for tennis, and by 11th grade, actually 10th grade, it was gone. There was no way I was going to get a scholarship, and then it did impact me mentally, because from a good student to like barely getting out of high school and barely getting into college, and then losing. When I played for Penn State, because my grades were bad, they had to kick me off the team. So it's a lot of failure here.
Yeah, but also a lot of success, and you've, like I said, you've been able to really build yourself in the recovery community as someone who is also a great spirit to have around, but someone who's been through a lot and overcame a lot. And so from college, did you end up going to college?
Oh yeah.
Where'd you go?
First to Penn State, and then I transferred to Temple, which was a great school. Yeah. But of course, I didn't play for Temple. There was some issues, and then I always say I had a great job I was at Tiffany's Diner. I was a waiter there, and back then that was a great place to work, and I was making a lot of money as a college kid, a lot.
That's awesome. And so how did it affect? So was it in college? Was it mainly the alcohol? When did the cocaine, the pills, and all that come into play?
Actually, 33 years old. 33 years old, I became a drug addict.
After all that,
yeah.
Wow. So
at 33 years old.
That's insane.
Yep.
So when did the alcohol
Alcohol was always there.
Always there.
Always there.
How did it affect your life?
Well, before, it was easy to deal with. Drugs totally decimated me.
Right.
It was back in the disco ages, and the clubs were amazing, and that's what I lived for, the clubs. That was my life. And then Then of course I was an insurance broker and I was a workaholic and I lived for the clubs. I worked. My motto was work hard, party hard.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, you've been coming out to my gigs, and because I could tell you enjoy the nightlife aspect of it. And is that hard for you to like when you're out there? Is it hard for you to not, I guess, divulge in the alcohol or the anything? Like, does that affect you at all?
I don't even know it's there.
Really?
Don't even know it's there.
Really?
Just listen to your music and stuff like that, and don't do it that much. Like 3-4 times a year, 5 times. Yeah, just occasionally.
Yeah, I'm honored that I'm one of the people that you come out to see.
You're great.
Yeah,
you packed the house last week. It was great.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And
awesome.
And yeah, and I mean, so 33, you started using it, and why, how?
The company I was working for started really clamping down on us, causing a lot of troubles, and I was married to my job. Some people. I have some friends that are married to their careers.
Right.
They're married to and I was married to my career. That was my life. I loved it because I never thought I would become successful because, first off the bat, lost the scholarship, didn't do that well at school, then sort of got my head together in Temple because it was just the professors were great and I was able to graduate, but I didn't, I didn't have a high GPA, so I never thought I'd become successful. And I became very, very successful. But when they played around with our career, I went nuts. Instead of taking 2 loads a week, I started taking 4 loads a week. And then all of a sudden, I transitioned. I didn't want to be in the clubs like I used to. And I was like, oh, cocaine, I could stay out all night because I got to stay out all night. And I dabbled with that, and it just led into a real big disaster.
And so you mentioned that's when it escalated. So, like, how so?
Well, it basically, it would be 3 days on. You're on cocaine and stuff like crack. You're up for 3 days. I would be 3 days on, 2 days to sleep it off, at 3 days on. So I started losing all my clients. I didn't even care. Let me party more. Right. I just was on a mission.
Right. Were you ever homeless or no? You always did well for yourself, right? In terms of that. And then, so how did it affect your career? So you say you started losing clients. So then, did you end up losing your job, or do you still?
I ended up losing the job.
And then, so how did
that career.
So where did you transition after that?
Well, I became when I got sober. After a few years, I did lose the career, and then, and what happened was I became an investor. Which I always was, and I expanded a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, what ultimately led you to becoming sober?
Basically, the cops surrounding my house.
Really?
My best friend was a retired Philadelphia cop, and I just couldn't do it anymore. When I saw the cops surround my house, I knew I was done.
Why were they surrounding?
Because somebody was in the house. Luckily, they were, of age and stuff like. Because they'll start with that, and luckily, I knew that if I didn't go in recovery right then and there, they're going to come back with warrants. They're going to come back with a,
right.
I'll lose my house. I don't know what's in the house. I mean, I see machine guns in my house.
Right. Wow.
So
you put yourself in. So yeah, what kind of people were you surrounded by then? Just
drug addicts from Kensington mostly.
Okay.
But it wasn't a Kensington that you see today.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
People were, nobody overdosed. I had a madhouse in my house. I don't even know what that is. Oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Don't even know what it is.
Wow.
Nobody dropped back in those days. Safer.
Yeah.
Now today, if I was out there, I'd have to put an ambulance in front of my house.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's how crazy it got.
Wow. I never knew that you were in that in that kind of life, like at the high paced energy life. That's insane.
Yeah.
How has recovery been for you, like mentally?
Great. That's been great.
And so, like, what kind of has it brought you, like, new opportunities? Like, how did you even find the Grace Project? First of all, I never asked you that.
Through Facebook.
Through
Facebook, because I'm friends.
Right.
On Facebook with Megan Cohen.
Yeah, the better Cohen.
She is the best. She's the best. She's great.
That's great. So, do you think that, like, this life of recovery, like, how has it shaped you? Like, what do you think the biggest difference is between today and when you were using?
I'm a better person, Not that I was that bad, you know, like I came in before I had to rob you or something like that. It was my money, you know. I was getting so bad. I would always laugh. This is getting ridiculous. I'm going, you know, back then you could rob a bank. I'm ready to go rob a bank. It's getting on my nerves, spending my own money, you know.
Did you? That's crazy. How long were you in that lifestyle for? The high pace?
6 years.
6
years. From 33 to February 21st of 1999.
Wow.
Which is my sobriety date. That's February 21st.
Congratulations, by the way. That's always something to be like to celebrate, no matter what. Like even when I'm like on the phone with like volunteers, or like no matter how long you're sober or anything like that, it's always important to acknowledge that, and because it's an everyday thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this amount of time sobriety, I am so used to being sober. You're never cured, but I'm just so used to it. Like,
Right.
you know, what's it, Monday night, I'd be sleeping it off, you know?
Yeah.
Wide awake.
And so, and I want to dive back into your scholarship, because I understand that that's where a lot of things kicked off for you. How did your family react to that?
Well, my dad, you know, just took it with a grain of salt. You know, it was not. He didn't beat me on it. No.
Okay.
No, come to think, you know, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What about, was your mom ever in the picture?
My mother died when I was 7 years old.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, 7 years old. Yeah.
Did that, how did that, because I know when you're 7 years old, you're still developing. Like, how did that affect you?
I was lucky because around the corner was my grandmother's house. 2 houses down was my mother's best friend. Around the other corner was my best friend's house. So instead of one mother, I had 3 mothers that really helped raise me.
Okay.
One of them just sadly passed, Mrs. Moskowitz. Sue Moskowitz, who I loved.
Okay. Rest in peace to her.
She just passed about a month ago. Yeah, she was about 86 years old. I had called her a couple weeks before she passed because she was in Florida. Most of the family's in Florida, and then the one son is further out of the Philadelphia area. So I take care of the graves because my mother is buried at Roosevelt Cemetery in Trevose, and her son, who tragically died from this disease, who was like a brother to me, and the father. I take care of the graves. I watch and make sure. So I went to see the graves, sent them some pictures. She's dead 2 weeks later. You know,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially like in this environment, like with these, you know, I feel like in the recovery community, I feel like you lose a lot of people. Think you've lost a lot of people along the way?
I've lost so many amazing people. Hall of Fame athletes. Just, it's sad.
Yeah.
It really is.
So you mentioned your father, and you know, you said you wanted to talk about him.
Okay.
You mentioned that you did.
Yeah, my dad was quite a person. He was unbelievable. He was he was from a town called Perth Amboy, New Jersey, which was a gambling town in those days.
Right.
And my dad went World War II. You know, at 18 years old, he enlisted against my grandmother. I heard there was screaming. You could hear it down the street. And he enlisted in the Army, and he subsequently was, a great fighter for this country. I mean, they are I see where people say they are the greatest generation. They were the greatest generation for what they've done. My dad fought at the Battle of Guadalcanal the last day. The Army was there the last day. My dad told me the whole island was full of dead bodies, the whole island.
It's crazy.
And then he went on to fight the Battle of Luzon. It was about 100 some odd day battle. My dad fought in that battle. He sustained shrapnel wounds, and he was awarded the Purple Heart, 2 Purple Hearts. When he died, the VA had called me, and I didn't even know this. And they said, "Look, Mark, we know you don't know this, but he had the Bronze Star." I never even knew it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was unbelievable, my dad. He's 96 years old. He passed away.
Man.
He was amazing.
I'm guessing you looked up to him.
Oh, yeah. And he became a great educator in the Philadelphia area. He met my mother in the Catskills. The Jewish people used to always go. They still, I heard, go there. And that's where he met my mother. And he came down to Philadelphia and taught for many years, for about 40 years in Philadelphia. He had his tutoring school and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
What do you think he instilled in you?
His love of kids, you know. And that's where I came to come to help a lot of children. Yeah. in the Bensalem School District.
It's amazing. Do you think that's become like a passion of yours to help?
Yeah. Help, you just help everybody. Just try to, just do the best you can. I always tell people, because I'm in a lot of nonprofit groups, I just say, just do the best you can. The best you can.
Yeah. So you speak every week, right? You guys have like groups and stuff, like home groups and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My 2 home groups are Life or Death in Philadelphia and Sobriety Group in Warminster.
That's amazing. What was the first, like when you first decided to get clean, what steps did you take to do that?
I knew to go away. When the cops surrounded my house, I called my sponsor. He took me to detox. And I went to a rehab and then a recovery house for 9 months. If you're a bad case, you have to go away for 9 months to a year. You have to.
So you went away for a year?
Yeah, 9 months. It was the best thing I did. I was in a great recovery house, and it set the stage for my recovery.
It's amazing. Do you think you learned anything like about yourself in that time, like in that 9 months?
We were having a lot of fun in those days. My car was packed. We would go to all these exciting meetings down in the city. It was just a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so where did you go?
What?
Florida? Or
No. No, Eagleville.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Eagleville.
Okay.
Eagleville was great back in those days.
Yeah.
I heard it's still good, but it was real. They had great counselors. I mean, phenomenal counselors in those days.
Yeah.
Hopefully they still have them, because that was. Whew.
Yeah.
And I went to a great recovery house.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And so so you obviously have like a lot of friends now that are in the recovery community.
Mm-hmm.
How involved are you in that community, the recovery community?
A decent amount of sponsees. I'm picking up some more sponsees. Matt, you've met down there, who Matt was homeless there for 3 years, and he knew every Thursday we were there. He could get something to eat, get some clothes, and he could talk to us, and we could help him.
Yeah.
And finally, he did get sober, and he's got about 9 months now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And he likes to come down and help people.
That's awesome. And so your family. Do you have any siblings?
A brother, yes.
Brother, are you in touch with him?
A little bit.
Here and
a little
there?
bit. There's some business deals that.
Yeah. Did you guys like lose touch? When did you guys lose touch, or when you guys?
It had nothing to do with the addiction.
No.
Absolutely nothing to do with it. And my dad, just was a big supporter. Big supporter.
Okay.
He was proud of me for getting sober and stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't really see me at those points because, he actually moved around 94, 95, and 93, so I wasn't too bad 94, 95 when he moved to California.
Okay.
My dad moved to California.
What would you consider like your darkest like moment? Do you have like a moment where you really thought to yourself like this is like a bottom?
When the cops surrounded the house. My best friend's a cop. I can't retire. I can't do this.
Right.
I'm not. I'm going to lose my driver's license, my house.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm going to go to jail for a couple of years. Nah, it's over.
And so you were just like, I'm just gonna at that moment you took yourself in a detox to avoid everything.
Right.
Okay.
And I rented the house right out.
Man. Okay. And so moving on now, as you've been sober, what has changed in terms of your goals and desires for what you want in your life?
Well, I got very heavily involved with the nonprofit areas in the Philadelphia area. I'm on a lot of different boards, founders of some boards, And I look up, I see the Eagles, and I just want to shout out to my great friend who passed, Greg Brown, who played for the Eagles. Greg was just an amazing guy, and I met him through some nonprofit work that we did together. And he passed about 2 years ago. And he was such a great guy. He did so much for the Philadelphia community. And we now honor him for either a former Eagle or a current Eagle in his honor.
That's amazing.
He passed away about 3 years ago.
That's awesome. So
what I felt him today. I felt him today because talking about what I do, and I just I believe in angels. I've seen, I know there's a higher power, and I felt him come to me, and I texted his wife. I'm waiting to hear from her back, Valerie. Yeah, I'll send it to her. I told her I was going to mention it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so do you believe that everything that's in your life happened for a reason?
Yes. Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
I know there's a God. I know there's a God.
Is there any?
I really do.
Is there anything that's happened to you throughout your journey that you really can pinpoint that is like a defining moment for that?
God saved me. God tries to save every addict. You know, you're drunk, you get the spins, you hit a parked car, so you're just getting warned and warned and warned. And now, unfortunately, you know, it's death now. It's amazing for an addict now. It's a sad situation.
And you think that moment when the cops showed up to your house, that was that sign?
That
for
was
you?
it. Done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Done.
That's awesome. And so since you've been in the nonprofit work, you've been with the Grace Project,
Right?
What would you say? And I'll even ask Lear too. Like, what is your favorite part about being a part of the Grace Project?
I just love going down there and just hopefully that night we get somebody some help.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say, Lear?
That's the most important.
We can set you up with a mic too, real quick, if you want.
It's okay. That's fine. It's the feeling when you grab somebody. Like last time, we grabbed a guy, and the reasoning was like I brought a new guy, Jeff. You know, he's the chef, and we decided to grab some bananas out of the blue, and I just wanted to show him around, and we decided to take this shortcut at the park, and it happened this guy sitting there.
See, that's God.
He was ready to go, and I truly believe it was none of me doing. The whole setup, if you followed the whole day, was this little things put in place for me to walk at that time and talk to this guy. And he just got up and left, like somebody just pushed him, like literally like just got up and pushed him, you know?
God.
And he was like pushed like to us, like he was like literally thrown at us, you know?
Yeah.
And everything else worked like just perfect, like, you know, with, he didn't have the insurance, but we were able to get him the Gardenzia. He got in, the nurses were like, we'll do something, we'll help him out. And I had the best feeling. I came back and I was higher than I ever been in my life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, like, even just, like, being down there every single week has been, like, even for me, I'm not even in recovery, but it's been such, like, a blessing to me because I'm able to put things in perspective and just the way I look at life is a lot different now, you know, and, like, we just got a van, which is really cool.
Right.
And
we have people that have had a few years of sobriety.
That's amazing.
That, especially when we first started out.
Yeah.
There was a girl down there. You weren't around. There was a guy that would bring. He had a limousine, so he found the girl was, you know, and he took her in a limousine to a rehab. And the unfortunate thing was she had contacted me and she wanted to thank him, but he had subsequently relapsed. We haven't really know his path. That's crazy. You know, he in a limousine saves this girl's life. And now he goes. This is how crazy.
So let me ask you this: like, you guys, like, you take people without a second thought. Like, for those who don't know, like so Mark and Lear come out every single week, and you guys take people into recovery like without a second thought. Like, what, like, because usually I feel like people are a little hesitant with taking people into their own car to go to a rehab center. Like, why are you so passionate about it?
Because that's the only way we can keep our sobriety. Also, it's by helping people through the 12 steps. You know, it's for us to keep it. We have to help people. And the Grace Project is a great team. Teams win, great teams, and I'm on a lot of great teams.
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize that. It's and honestly, I feel like even like for myself, I'm someone who likes to take care of people. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's like financially or through doing like cool stuff, having fun, whatever, like just any kind of opportunities or a way to help elevate people. And I remember my roommate told me one time, Chris, and was like, dude, like, you don't owe us anything. And I'm like, honestly, you guys being around helps me more than you realize. It's kind of like it's a similar thing what you guys said, like taking someone into rehab is like, it keeps you sober. Like, but for me, like having my friends and stuff like that, even like Bobby filming or something like that, like at my gigs and stuff like that, it keeps me going because it's like, I can't do anything. I can't do it by myself. Like I as much as I could, it's not the same or it's not as fun. And also it keeps me motivated. I guess
it's the people.
It is the people, and that's something I've learned so much throughout like these past few years with the Grace Project and like the DJing and the podcast. No, it's like the people are so important, and it's like it's literally everything. The relationships you build and the connections you make with people, I think are you know, second to none. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Nah, for sure. And like I said, that's why I wanted to have you come on too, like just like even just talk about it and diving deeper, like how do you keep yourself sober?
you really get used to it. You got to make a lot of meetings. I still make a good amount of meetings.
So I guess
and totally involved in a program. Sponsoring people, Grace Project, making the meetings,
right,
involving myself in the home groups.
And so I guess I really want to dive into the beginning period of you getting sober, because I know for a lot of people that's super important when it comes to like their loved ones, their friends, their families, or even just someone who's like struggling with anything, any type of like addiction or hard time in their life. It's always the beginning part that's super tough to keep going. So like, what kept you going, and like what are some of the things that you've had to do to alter your life to keep this to be where you are today?
To stay sober, you have to want it, and I wanted it. I was done. I was done, and and I did the right steps, as far as going to a recovery house.
And so you do obviously you do the 12 steps.
Oh yeah.
How impactful has that been for you?
Saves our lives. It
'Cause
really is.
I'm actually doing the 12 steps with Meg right now. For just certain things that I want to work on for myself, not like drug or alcohol related, but like just to be a better person. And one of the things that I've learned and really picked up on as I just started is the leaving it up to a higher power. Just doing the right things and letting everything else settle itself out. I think one of my biggest struggles was that I've always tried to control how an outcome will be, and I've always tried to like make sure that like I made things the way that I wanted them to, and by just putting my head down and just working and being a good person and staying consistent, I've learned that like life kind of just decides it for you. It works. It has a weird way of working itself out for you. You know what I mean?
Yep. The whole world worked the 12 steps. You wouldn't have a war.
Right.
You wouldn't have wars.
Right. What is
you have no conflict.
So going through the 12 steps, what would you say is like an aspect of it that really is when you really believed in it and really like understood like that this is actually working for you? Is there a specific step or part of the process that you took in?
It was just, it was the end. I knew that I was done. I knew where it was going. The house is going to be going to go to jail. That type of thing. That really, being scared really just. And when I got sober 24 years ago, and Project Sunrise was coming, I think it was called Sunrise, where they were going to start clamping down on Kensington. And I knew my day was starting to roll here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to get busted down here because they were coming with the heat. You don't see that now. I mean, now they're allowed to do what they're doing in those blocks.
Right.
It is unfortunate and really,
really
sad.
The landscape of Kensington has changed so much. I feel like when you were in that phase of your life, what are some key differences you noticed
compared to what it is today?
Today, yeah.
To sum it up, I hate to say it was like a 5-star hotel back in those days compared to this. I mean, we had no infections, no overdoses. They would pull a gun and warn you.
Right.
Now they just shoot.
Yeah.
They shoot.
A lot more impulsive today, I guess, right?
Oh, it's absolutely. And there is no drugs anymore. It's all chemicals, fentanyl and the track, and it's and everything.
Right. Yeah. Transitioning into you, Marc Cohen. What do you think? What is a true like passion of yours, an end game for you? Is there like something you've always wanted to accomplish in your life that you are working towards?
Just to continue, my path of just helping people and helping my nonprofits that I'm involved with.
Okay. And when you started, like when you were in your tennis days, what was it? You wanted to be a professional tennis player?
No, I knew I never would have done that, but I knew I was definitely going to get a college scholarship. At that time, I was a pretty good instructor myself for a kid. I was great. I had 3 kids that got college scholarships.
That's awesome.
Yeah, even though I didn't get them, 3 kids did get. They started with me and then went to better pros, but they originally started with me. 3 of the kids. I was thinking of them the other day.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch with them or no?
No.
Okay.
No. One of them, the sister's very famous, Stacy Honowitz, who's been on See It and for many years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's her brother, her sister.
Do you think
his sister? Yeah.
Do you think a lot about the moment that you did lose your scholarship? Is that a big part of your life? Like, I
wasn't. It didn't hurt me. I don't. I was having a lot of fun back in those days.
Right.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I regret it now, and I feel bad. You know, and I also lost the public league championship for Washington High School that year.
Okay,
you know, and that hurts me.
Yeah, I'm just curious because it's I always wonder like are you someone who looks back at like the what ifs? Or are you very present now?
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
a little bit of both.
Is there anything that you would go back and change?
I would have never done drugs. And I would have, drinking, that's a good question. But the drugs just totally destroy, you know.
So like
changed my life 300%.
Let me ask you why. Is there like, did you try to numb? Is there something you always wanted to numb? Is there like no?
It was just the party. I lived for the party, and I just loved, you know, I loved the nightlife. I was, you know, those were great days. They were, you know, they were disco days. They were the clubs were absolutely booming.
Yeah.
Look at John Travolta, man. He started it all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Back to the Grease days.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan? You don't have like a family or anything, right? You have a wife or kid or anything? No.
I have 6,500 kids and 2 godchildren.
Yeah. Okay.
6,500 kids in Bensalem.
Yeah. Okay.
School district.
Okay. You don't plan on it, right? You don't. It's not like a goal you have.
I've aged out of a lot of that. You know?
Listen, ladies, if you're no, but I'm just curious about that. 'Cause I feel like
because I was married to my career back in those days. So many of those years, like up until like 33 years old, I'm married to my career. You can't settle down when you're working 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then the clubs, and then the addiction, and you know this is where it came to.
Right. And so as you started transitioning away from the drugs and the alcohol, like you really went back to like the nightlife disappeared then, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you miss it?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
And so now you really.
And I still can go out a little bit. You know, it's not a big deal.
And I mean, I'm playing everywhere, so you can always come out.
I'm telling you, you are excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent DJ.
Thanks. And so I guess transitioning to like things that, do you have like a story of getting somebody into recovery that like really sticks out to you?
It's happened many times. Many times. I tell a funny story. There was Larry. We used to call him Larry the Loon at Life or Death. He was a famous guy back in those days. He would help anybody. It was unbelievable the things he did. And one of our friends, Dennis Donnelly, was in Kensington, and we knew he was down there. And we went down there, and we found him, and we went right up on the block, and he knew he had to get in the car because Larry could fight 9 guys, and Larry would have just knocked them out and threw them in the car. And in those days, that's what we, you know, you get in the car, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and that was kind of a funny type of thing. And he stayed sober for about 3 or 4 years, then had some troubles after that. But that was one of the fun. It was fun, and it was just great to see. It was Larry and me, and you had to know him to really see what he would do. I mean, he was an amazing guy.
That's awesome. And do you have anything that you would say to someone who is in like recovery or someone who's like has lost hope and is looking for it again? Is there anything you can take from your experiences and
never give up? Because I didn't make it at first. You know, I was relapsing like crazy.
Yeah.
Never give up. Never give up. And if it's the 9 months to a year in some of these programs, especially if it's fentanyl now. It's just, you're not going to be able to go home. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to it's only 9 little months, you know, 9 months to a year.
Interesting. Okay. And so do you have, obviously never giving up. Is there anyone in your life that has maybe helped you learn that about yourself? Is there anyone you look up to or role models?
Well, my sponsor saved my life.
Sponsor? Who's your sponsor?
His name is Mike the Greek. That's his nickname. And he's helped hundreds and hundreds of people. He's in his 80s now.
Oh, wow.
And he still goes to meetings every day up at Sobriety Group in Warminster. He's there every day.
It's amazing.
And back when I got sober, he was there at the 6 p.m. every day of the week.
That's amazing. And so when you're, for those who don't know, like, what does a sponsor do? And what goes with being a sponsor?
They care about you, and they're there for you. That's the number one thing. And he never stopped. You know, one time I couldn't make it. So I said to him one day, I said, Mike, I'm not going to make it. There's no way. He got in my face. He said, "I'll never stop until I get you sober." I'm like, "Oh my God!" And it was a few months later that the cops were the bottom here.
Do you ever have like that imposter syndrome where it's like, why does he care about me?
No, I just knew he loved doing what he does. He loved it. He loved it. He's got 40-some years. He's helped hundreds and hundreds of people.
It's amazing.
Hundreds.
And you've helped a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And
I have, but, not that number. But I'm increasing lately. I'm picking up some more sponsees.
That's amazing.
Which is great.
And so what goes into your day-to-day schedule when you have all those sponsees? Like, are you're reaching out every day?
I want them, for the first 3 months, they need to really contact you. You need to be talking to your sponsor every day. So I make sure either I call them, they call me, or I see them at a meeting.
Okay.
And then after 3 or 4 months, they can.
And what goes on like at the meetings?
They're great. Life or Death back in those years was a famous, but it's still famous, but it was unbelievable back in those years. I couldn't even wait to get there. I wish we had the old Life or Death. We had moved. I wish it was around today because the kids would love it, and I think younger people would really stay sober. We had a gang of young people that are now in their 40s that were 20 years old, are sober 20 years, 25 years. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because of that place.
It's amazing.
No.
And also, real quick, I just want to ask too, like, when you were like going through like that phase of like I said, the alcohol and all that stuff, like, even when you were 14 though, like, why? Like, why were you?
We all did it. The whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood drank. The whole neighborhood.
Interesting. And is there anything that like?
Except for my dad, he would drink 1 beer a week.
Yeah.
1 beer a year.
Oh, man, wish I could be that dude.
Yeah.
And do you have like is there anything in your life that is like ultimately like stuck with you in terms of like a something that you've struggled with? Is there anything like deep down, or are you just very like go with the flow, easy? Because I understand that like a lot of times people they struggle with these issues, it always stems from something.
Well, I came in before I really did some bad damage. Some bad. I mean, things can happen in your addiction. You could kill somebody.
Right. So
there's people in the rooms that have in a vehicular homicide.
Right. How old were you when you went in? 33?
33, I became a drug addict. At 39, I stopped February 21st of 1999.
What was your high school life like with the college
it was
life?
Great.
And so when did it
amazing.
When did it truly become a problem? When did you start to realize that it was?
I noticed something, losing the scholarship right from the door, and I couldn't. To this day, I have brain damage from drinking and drugging. It affected my grades. A lot of times I have to read something 2-3 times. I have to be, right on top of things. It did damage, permanent damage.
Interesting.
To me.
Okay. And so moving forward and today, so how old are you now?
63.
63. Well, that's amazing. That's
63.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. So being 63 and looking back at yourself when you were 33, is there anything you would tell yourself back at that time?
I would have told myself, don't play around with no drugs. It was the stupidest mistake I made. For a lot of years, I really was very upset about what I had done. But, you just get over it.
So you learned to forgive yourself?
I have totally forgiven myself.
Huge, right?
Pretty much forgiven myself.
And have you worked, and have you been able to make your amends?
Yeah, again, I did. I came in before I really hurt anybody. The person I hurt was myself. I hurt myself because, I wrapped it up before something really, before I had to get a gun and start robbing people.
Interesting.
Your money runs out. For drugs, you'll do anything.
Right. And what are you looking forward to most as you go about, working in the school district and looking to stay sober and help more sponsees? What are you looking forward to most?
Just looking forward to, right now, we're on summer break.
Yeah.
And, I'm looking forward to, getting back and get back to our activities with the school district. My number one group in the school district, I'm one of the founding members of the Bensalem Education Foundation. And I take a lot of pride in what we've done
That's amazing.
We started with $300. It's our 10th year anniversary.
Wow, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And Bensalem High School is going to be 100 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this year.
That's
2024 is 100 years.
That's amazing.
Yes, we started with $300, and now we pump about $100,000 every year into the school district.
And so like
I'm very proud of what we've done.
I mean, that's amazing. I don't know how did you do that? Like, how did you manage to get?
We have an outstanding board. We just honored our president, co-president Bill Lewis, who is an amazing story in himself. We gave him the Bensalem Rotary Person of the Year for Bensalem, and what he's done is just amazing. Our whole board is just amazing.
That's
just
awesome.
Really great. Great teachers, great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's awesome. And so, do you take pride in yourself? Like, do you
with that? Yes, I do. I take a lot of pride, and I pride in our school district. I think of all the great students I've worked with the last.
And so,
10 to 12
do you teach?
No,
no.
I'm on the school board.
On the school board. Okay.
Yeah, I'm running for my 3rd term.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Do you ever find yourself like looking back and reflecting on like the things you have accomplished? Because I understand it's so with your life being chaotic and life just kind of moving. I understand it's hard sometimes to really look back and see all the progress you made. Do you ever look back and see the progress you made as a human being?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Okay, because like I said, man, it's just
a lot of times I'm more down on what I lost. A lot of times, it can hit me sometimes.
Right. And so, what did you lose?
The scholarship, the business.
Okay. And so,
and I'm back playing tennis.
Yeah, you are.
I'm back about 16, 17 years.
Oh, there you go.
And our club's anniversary, 45 years.
Look at that. It's a whole
Delaware Valley Tennis Club, 45 years. And
amazing.
I was they were going to throw me out of the club, and I became the president.
Look at,
I was the worst member. They were literally going to throw us out as kids. And I had 2 terms as president of the club.
A little bit of time and dedication.
Yeah,
really far.
I always laugh and tell people that I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm proud of our club.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? I mean, is because you've been such a huge inspiration to a lot of people. I saw especially on Facebook, people love you, and people. I didn't realize the impact you've made, and
because I'm on great teams. That's my asset.
And so, what would you say? What would you say is the most important factor then when it comes to just building your teams and just being someone who is so involved in that in the community? What do you think is one of the most important aspects of staying in the community?
You got to be kind to people. You got to be kind and nice and caring. It's very, very important.
It's amazing. Well, Marc, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
You.
Leah, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
I mean, it's been great. Like I said, I love doing episodes like these where, someone like yourself, we're able to just you're able to talk about your story and also understand people's why. I think finding your why is so important. And I think, do you think you've done that? You think eventually you've came to finding your why and your purpose?
Yeah.
And it did
to help people.
And was it
and that was easy for me because when I had the business, that's what I did. I helped people, so it was easy.
Right, so it never really changed. Your why never changed. It was just the avenue it was.
Right, I got paid for that.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's amazing. And like I said, for me, finding the why is the most important thing. You can do anything in this world, but finding your why and why you're doing it is what's going to keep you in it, and also keep you doing it very well. Which sounds like you are doing very well with being involved in the community and helping the students. And if the students are watching this somehow, shout out to you guys at Bensalem High School. So
we have great kids. We really do.
Amazing.
They're really special.
That's awesome. Well, Marc Cohen, I seriously want to thank you, and Leah, thank you for coming on, hanging out. This has been an amazing episode.
Yeah.
Like I said, just trying to provide hope for people and for people to see, where you can start is not always where you end up and finish. That's just my most important thing to me. So, Marc, I want to thank you for coming on, and Leah, like I said, thanks for hanging out. And this has been The Loft, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. My name's KEV Nichols. This is Marc Cohen, and this is Leah. Peace, guys.